back to another episode of The T and the Net. I'm Mika, this is Noah. The T represents Uncle Iro, and the net is the Apostle Andrew. And these are two people that I believe represent the spirits of adventurousness, wisdom, gentleness, kindness, and making sure that everyone you interact with has a positive interaction with you. Noah, I know you from Northeastern, from powerlifting, and one of the things that I learned a lot about you, for better or for worse, is a lot about interpersonal relationships and friendship. And so I wanted to have you on because I learned a lot about being self-aware, but also being authentically myself. And you're one of maybe two people I know that do both of those things at a high level, that you're both very authentic and you're very self-aware. I know a lot of people who are one or the other, or neither, and very few who are both. And so that's why I thought it would be good to have you on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it. I'm really flattered, honestly, that I come to your mind when you think of people that can impart value on your life, especially to say genuine and self-aware at a high level. Because honestly, that's a little surprising to me because I think I'm still I have a lot of progress to go on those fronts. So,
I mean, even the thought that you need to progress your self-awareness is a lot more self-aware than most people.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone recently where they were saying, everyone else gets to be delusional, why can't I be delusional? And when he was saying that, I thought to myself, you're one of the most delusional people I know. So this whole time, you thought you were sane, and you're just as delusional as the rest of us, at least.
Yeah.
And so, he actually is the other person I think is very self-aware, but I think for you, you're not deluding yourself into thinking you're not delusional. You know that there's things you're delusional about and whatever, and you also know there's a lot of things for you to prove on and whatever, but you're also, you know who you are, and everyone goes through waves of whatever, whether it's self-esteem or certainty or whatever the waves of life are, but I think I often see you trying to be, not letting other things hinder you from being yourself.
Yeah.
And so...
No, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you.
I guess I'm wondering where you learned that, or maybe what made you like that, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be honest, when you first asked me to be on this, I got very nervous, is the word that came to mind, because I was thinking, what could I possibly, bring to the table to discuss with you that you would find of, value, or anyone listening could find of value. Because, whenever you learn something new, whether that be about life, the world, yourself, fill in the blank, really, it seems so obvious in hindsight. So I was very worried I was going to bring things, to me that were, oh man, this is groundbreaking stuff, this is something that I, no one's cued in on, and then bring the most, surface level finding that people have known for eons. But, where I'm going with this is, on the way over here in particular, I was thinking about what I could be speaking to you about. And it's really funny you should mention the awareness and the interpersonal, because those were the themes that I was thinking of, and kind of what has been my goal per se in the past 3, 4, 5 plus years of this existence in particular. One of them very much being the self-awareness, one saying, okay, not that I'm fully aware of everything, not that I'm fully operating the highest level of enlightenment, but being very aware that there are things I'm definitely messing up. There are things I'm definitely fallible on. There's definitely somewhere I'm in the wrong without realizing it. And if I'm presented with an opportunity to realize that, if my beliefs or something I think is true is contradicted, I can have the awareness to say, okay, well, let's examine this. Let's find out if that argument holds any weight, or maybe I'm just completely out of my depth. Things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, one of the things... So I think a lot of people also think they do that well. And one of the things is, how do you actually judge whether this thing that is brought to light does hold weight?
It's exhausting. I'll tell you that much. It's exhausting. Because yeah, I mean there are many truths that you hold to be self-evident, and if you know if your core belief is, for the sake of argument, murder is bad, murder is terrible, and someone brings the argument, well, it's actually really good. You know, things like that, you don't really want to waste your time. I don't say waste, but spend your energy, spend your time on to say, okay, let's really get down to the nitty gritty and sort this out right now, and this is going to be my my adventure for today, where all my extra energy and thought power is going towards. But just kind of as you carry out through your life, what I found, it's very much the little things. Like when I'm interacting with, people of all level of relationship, I should say, like people I'm very close with, people I'm kind of close with, people I've just met. I feel like every single, it's kind of weird to think about it in a sense of people are learning opportunities. It's not like that, but it's more so like as you are meeting people and speaking with them, it's kind of putting the extra little effort to say, this little thing that I just did, this little thing that I just said, this little thing that they just did and how I reacted, let's examine that. Is that something that is, for the sake of argument, what a good person would do? Or is it something that is not exactly the person I want to be embodying? See where I'm going with this? I know I'm kind of just dumping a lot on you right now, but you got me on a bit of a tangent going.
I mean, there's a space for you to go on some tangents.
Oh boy.
I mean, your 3-minute tangent's hardly a tangent. If we can get you on a 30-minute one, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that is not hard to do. Which is ironic because that kind of contradicts a lot of things I was just saying about, trying to be a bit more self-aware, and that's one of the things I would like to be, a little less rambly, a little less ranty, things like that.
Oh, interesting. You want to be less ranty?
Yeah, well, which is a terrible segue because I'm about to ramble a bunch, but no, I especially in the past year or so, it's really been shoved in my face. Not shoved in my face per se, but I've run into a lot of situations where if I'm interacting with somebody new or someone of any level, the chemistry between the two of us, the interaction could have gone a lot better if I had just kind of bit my tongue a little more. Because I came to a realization there was a lot of times that someone would be saying something, and my mind, instead of going, oh, that's very interesting what they're saying, let's think about that and reference to them and what that means for them and shape them as a person, a lot of times my first instinct would be like, oh, something similar happened to me, and I'm going to add on to your story, and it's going to relate, and we're going to be related in that way. But it would very frequently come off of just self-centered, kind of self-indulgent. There was many times when I was supposed to be, during a conversation, instead of listening to the person, halfway through the story, I'd say, all right, I already know what I'm going to say to this. I already know where I'm going to take this. And it wasn't a conversation at that point. Mm-hmm. It was purely just me, indulging myself. And for reasons I guess I'm still figuring out why it was so important for me to conduct conversations like that. I mean, I've shared my theories we can get into later, but yeah, I was just trying to become aware that this is a habit that I'm doing. I really don't like what it's doing for me. I want to take measures to actively cut back on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've heard the thing a bunch now, and I don't know the source, where it's a lot of conversations are people taking turns waiting to say whatever it is that they want to say. And actually, the first guest, Alex, there was a while where he was just yeah, I expect that a lot of conversations are just this person has things they gotta say, and I'm just here to listen. This isn't a conversation really. This is just this person is just gonna vomit out some stuff, mm-hmm. and I'll just wait for them to do that, and then I'll be on my way. Mm-hmm. I definitely suffer from that sometimes, but for me, I think, for me personally, I have that issue when I'm not getting a lot of decent social interactions. So I have mm-hmm. a lot of stories that are kind of building up. Mm-hmm. So it's just I haven't had a chance to share this in a while, and I want to share this, and so this is here's the tangent.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share it now.
Please. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that's it. That's what I mean.
No,
you say whatever story, and then I'm oh yeah, I have
mm-hmm.
I have a story that I've not shared yet, and so I'm gonna share it right after this. Mm-hmm. I guess there's like always a balance to it, because the sharing of stories, I think, is where I make a lot of my friends.
Sorry.
But yeah, I guess with when you meet new people, they want to feel like you're interested in what they have to say. They're not just like a talking board.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I was just gonna say, but I was wondering what theory you had about why that's a problem for you,
Why it's a problem for me,
or like what's making you do this.
the rosebud per se. I don't know. My leading theory is probably some sort of ego. You know, that's like one theory to say like, oh, I'm going to show this person that I'm talking to that I'm interesting, that I have value to contribute towards them, and I'm gonna tell them all about it, and they're gonna hear all about it, and they're gonna say, wow, this guy's really cool, or like, this guy's a lot of stuff in common to me, and like, that's a good thing, you know. It also could just be maybe like a nervousness to just not deal with a silence, you know. Why the rambling? Why the talking? Why the fixation? Not even of self, but of stories relevant to the self. And it's not even so much like myself in particular, but why a lot of people do this, you know. And it's an adage that I think a lot of people are familiar with. People like to talk about themselves, you know. That's people like to be made felt. They like to feel interesting, you know. Why that is, you know, I'm not a psychologist. I couldn't really speak to it at a high level, but I think it's a pretty well-known fact. So I guess what I've kind of taken that more to heart, especially as of late, to focus it less on myself and move the focus to whoever I'm speaking to in the moment, especially when I'm trying to talk to a new person or someone I'm not too familiar with, you know. And it's along that line of thought. It's very much a balance. You know, you spoke earlier of being like authentic to yourself. So where do you draw the line between, oh, I'm acting like myself and I'm being myself in a way that I really enjoy, versus, okay, I need to kind of micromanage my behaviors to make myself like more palatable to others. You see?
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
So, because I think, like, for you, in a lot of the circles that I have the pleasure of interacting with you in, you're often the social glue because of this thing that you're considering a negative thing, where you're willing to be the person who breaks the silence and just tells a story about themselves, whether it's an embarrassing one or whatever, the one that fits the situation. And for that reason, there's a lot, like, we can go out to dinner with 5 introverts, and it's still like a loud, fun, boisterous time because you're willing to do this. I get that, like, for like if you're going on like a first date or you're meeting like one person one-on-one, if you talk the whole time, it's not a great look.
Yeah.
But I actually think this trait you have is one where, like, you know, like I think last time we were at Boston Burger, for example, we had 3 dudes sitting there not saying nothing, but we're having a great time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we still all caught up, and we all still shared whatever stories we're comfortable with. But you know, you could feel like a large social vacuum for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a role definitely I've been more than happy to play throughout most of my life. Jesus, that's siren. I know. I guess I just kind of had like a bit of. There's definitely like awakening point for me at one point. One, it's funny you should mention the date because that was one of them. Because I went on a first date with a girl, and I had the best time. You know, I thought it went flawlessly.
Yeah, you were saying you were on a first date,
Yes.
and you thought it went well.
I thought it went extremely well. I walked away from it saying, like, this was one of the best first dates I ever had. This was phenomenal. And, you know, as I try to set up the second one, I realized the feeling was not mutual. And I think, well, how the hell could that have happened? It went so great. She made me feel so important, and that's, the crux. I'm kind of saying it a little sarcastically because it's obvious in hindsight to look back, and I was very much dominating the conversation, and she was very much like allowing me to feel very, very important, like feel very, very like interesting, she was like indulging me in a way, and so obviously I thought it went very well. I'm like, oh, this gorgeous woman thinks I'm so cool. Like, I listen to all the questions she's asking about me. Obviously, is an indicator that things are great. And I didn't stop to realize that I was not nearly reciprocating on a level close to hers. So she probably was sitting there like almost bored to tears because I was getting so wrapped up in myself. I was, I tried to ask her questions, but I got sidetracked pretty fast, and the experience was not mutual is the takeaway. So that was a big moment for me that I realized that, man, this is really getting out of hand for me. This is a habit that is really starting to shoot me in the foot a bit, and it's a pretty black and white outcome right there as evidence. So that was one moment for me that kind of highlighted that role of the talker, I should say, is not always going to be to my benefit,
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's a different setting, right? You have a different role to play. Which I think is a frustrating thing in life. It'd be nice to only play one role all the time.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it's also tough. We're supposed to be our authentic self all the time, but then we have to play these different roles, and then, well, I'm not supposed to put on these different masks. I'm supposed to be the same person all the time, but how am I supposed to do that if here I'm the social glue, and there I'm the quiet listener, and here I'm, I'm say you're a leader. I don't know. I don't know what you like. I don't know what you do at work. And I think you don't know. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. We
like to have fun around here. We like to have fun around here.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting. Because I was having this conversation with someone else where, like, I felt like some of the traits that I value about myself, I was getting punished for. And so it was like, is this actually a bad trait? Or is it just not appropriate in this setting? Or is it, it just didn't work out in this once time? Or what's the deal? So it's interesting to see what those can be. Like, because it would be a shame if, like, oh, Noah's never the social glue anymore because, he went on a date with a girl, and the girl was just like, yeah, man.
That's it, I'm changing. That's it, I'm being a totally
this guy
different
talks
dude.
Too much. And it's like, well, you're a great talker. Of course, yeah. I mean, right, there's, the whole thing is that there's balance, right? You have to make her feel important. You have to be interested in her.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you just didn't think she was interested.
I don't want to spend this whole time dissecting this date.
One date with this one random girl.
Yes. But, I don't know, it's interesting you said that. It's trying to figure out, this trait, did this just not work in this setting? Or is this, like, an inherently bad trait? Because, obviously, there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of gray area, which is very difficult for me to wrap my mind around at times. And really the only solution is, unfortunately, like many things in life, very much trial and error. And it's tough because you want to be essentially aligning with people that you value, and the people that you value are not going to be the same people that guy values, or that guy values, or she values. There's going to be, everyone's kind of priorities and interests are very different. So, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it. If you find that something that's very important to you is really not working with the people you're hanging out with, you say, okay, is this something that is negotiable within myself? Is this something that I feel comfortable changing? Or is this kind of a sign that the people I'm with are really not the people that I should be prioritizing? And that's a big question, and that's a really difficult question for a lot of people. And obviously there is no right answer. You don't choose and the alarm goes off, say like ding ding ding, right answer. So it's very tough, and because you can walk down a path that is, you have no idea is the right one or not. You can spend weeks, months, years, decades doing something with just this almost like blind faith, this kind of trust of your choice and decision-making skills to know that what I'm sacrificing worth it? Is these people that I don't want to say the word appeasing, but people I'm trying to fit in with, are they worth it? Where's the line? Where's the negotiation? Where's the compromise? You see?
Yeah. There was one thing you said that I didn't really like, but it's...
Oh, please.
It's not,
I'd love to be disagreed with.
well, because you were saying, like, there's no other way other than, like, some trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And there's... You said a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I can agree with some trial and error, right?
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
you need some experience or some... You need to test the waters a little bit.
Mm.
But I think, like, part of the value of me even having this podcast or most books is that someone else gets to live the life with mistakes. And you can learn from that. And sometimes it takes more convincing to, but like that's like one of the shows that I really like is like Freaks and Geeks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like
Good show.
yeah. So it's like the girl, like Linda Cardellini's character, like she's like whatever, she's like a good student kind of person, like whatever, like stereotypical good kid, but like she makes a bunch of choices that if you want to be the good kid, you probably shouldn't make, and then she gets to go live that life, and you get to go see how it is for her, and hopefully you decide to, like, not do that, and you go to college and do whatever, instead of, like...
I think she's following, like, the Grateful Dead on tour
yeah,
or
exactly, something like that.
Spoilers.
So what?
Spoilers.
Yeah. And, I mean, so many other books are like that. Like, my friends really likes the Breaking Bad because it's just, like, Walter White... From the first choice, like, you wouldn't make that choice, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then he just keeps making the choice that you wouldn't make if you were him.
Yeah.
So that you get to see what it's like to make them, and then you kind of, like, get one trial and one error from watching. I mean, obviously, like, these are...
Of course, yeah.
But that's also one of the reasons that, like, reading fiction is so I was going to say important. Maybe it's not important, but it's so beneficial, where... someone gets to live a life that you don't get to live, or you don't even want to live, but you can see the consequences of it.
Right.
Or what the author imagines the consequences are.
Of course, yeah.
So that was one thing where I think, like, you don't have to go and try as many things. Like, you don't have to go and get a ton of trial and error.
I will compromise. It's not a ton of trial and error, but my point is, like, you won't really know until you are in, like, social settings. You could sit in your room all day and read every single book ever written and watch every, like, podcast, self-help, whatever, everything. But if you sit in your room all day, you are not going to be able to, like, apply it, I guess. I hate to say apply as in, like you are, like there's, like, a test you're studying for. But my point is, if you are not actually, like, out there talking to people and finding out about yourself, because you can only find out so much about yourself, like, by being alone, in my opinion. So I do think there is, at the very least, some amount of trial and error that's required.
I mean, you can only learn so much about yourself in a social setting by being alone.
Yeah.
But I think you can learn. I think most people would not stop learning about themselves if they stayed alone for, like, decades.
Of course.
So I think there's, like...
I'd say both have their place.
Yeah.
Both are beneficial, yeah.
And I agree. I mean, that's one of the big talking points in Fahrenheit 451 is where in Fahrenheit 451 the guy, like, starts, like, obsessing about, like, saving books, and then, like, the guy meets, like, an English professor, and the English professor's, like, not trying, and he's like, why aren't you trying? And he's like, it's not about the books. It's just that, like, you can't live all of life, so the books are a substitute. But, like, what's important isn't the book or what's in the book. It's, like, the experiences and the quality of life that comes from living life that you can't always get to live. So, like, you need to go and live some life, and you need to go make meaningful connections. Because that's the thing that you're missing. It's not books. Like...
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I definitely agree, right? Like, but there's, like, some balance to be had. There's like a chess learning guru that, like, one of the things that he says is, like, there's, like, depending on the level you're at, there's, like, three different kinds of learning that you have to do. So, like, one is just, like, applying. So you just, like, play.
Yeah.
Then there's one where it's just, like, where it's like learning like there's two different kinds of learning. Now I can't remember both of them. So now the egg's on my face. But,
that's fine.
But basically, it's like there's some studying that you have. There's some like concept that you want to do. So right now I'm like, oh, I'm playing, and I just don't want to lose hanging pieces. Like I just don't want to give up pieces for free, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm gonna learn that how to not do that, and then I'm gonna go play a bunch. And so it's like, okay, so I know how to do that. The next thing now, I'm not going to get any better by just playing more because I need to learn a new thing to be able to apply it.
Yes. So
there has to be some mixture of like learning what I need to be applying and then learning that thing and then applying it. So it's a 3-part piece and he has 3 names for them. I forget exactly what they're called. Yeah. And then how much you play though is really high at the beginning. But as you want to get better, how much you play like goes down as identifying the thing that needs to be improved takes up more time, and learning the thing that needs to be improved takes up more time.
Right.
And so, like, but they feed into each other.
Right.
And so, like, there's some element of that where it's like, in the beginning, I probably don't have to learn too much. You probably just got to go out and socialize and have a bunch of interactions, go on a bunch of first dates, whatever it is that you're trying to do, like networking. Like Caden is on his networking grinds, right? And then after you do that, whatever results you have, then you're like, okay, like, well, I'm meeting a bunch of new people, but I'm not making meaningful connections. How do I make meaningful connections? And then you go and you do whatever cycle. You have to now, like, I don't know how to make a meaningful connection. I can't just keep going and making not meaningful connections and learn that way. I have to learn what that is, how to make it, and then go back to this whole meeting people thing.
Right. Which is very fair, and it's definitely it's very similar, almost a 1-to-1 if I'm being honest. The whole thing that's like tricky about it to me is I hate the idea of so much like manufactured interaction. So much it comes back to what I was saying earlier about at what point do you draw the line between this is myself and I'm just trying to kind of rein in some things about me that I'm not too crazy about versus I'm a social chameleon and I'm going to say and do whatever to blend in and get along, and because obviously it's two extremes. It's two extremes.
Yeah, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like it depends on the quality of your learning.
Of course.
Like I'm trying to think of an example, but it's like, you know, when you're learning how to squat. Okay, just squat.
Yeah.
Just squat, and then someone will come up to you and be like, "Hey, like, you have the stripper squat fault, or you have your feet are like in the wrong, like you're unbalanced completely. The bar is not centered. Like these are big things that don't really change how you're squatting. Like, you know, like they change how you're squatting, but they don't change like how you squat. Like your specific, like this is where it's comfortable, for example. And then there's like when maybe towards the end of like my powerlifting career, where I was just like, where do I put my finger? Like, and like, do how many, like, is this, and then like, is this gonna give me like 1 more pound of squat? And then at the end, I'm like torquing my shoulder all the way to the point it's like killing me because like I want to get like this one little thing. And there's like some balance to be had where it's just like it's probably just better to be comfortable squatting than to do what like I think is the optimal squat. And like that kind of trade-off. But like that doesn't happen at the beginning, like unless you're trying to be someone else. But that also comes like from the quality of the learning. Yeah. Which I think also like you get like when I was trying to improve my squat, like one of the things I was told was like do whatever feels natural for you and it's pain free, and then we can worry about in that realm what is a good squat. And I was just I was like, I got one more competition left. I got to make sure it's the best. Yeah. And obviously I bombed out, so it's like sick. But like,
can't imagine what that's like. That's crazy.
But yeah, so I think there's something to be said. Like I agree with what you're saying, but I still think you have to go and learn, and then you have to.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a balance of two. You can't to get the best results. And I'm using air quotes here because, like I said, it's not. I don't like to think of this as like a game where you win, you know, but like to be able to form like better connections with people and to have like more fulfilling relationships, you know, on every capacity. You definitely need to have kind of this like multi-pronged approach of getting out there and trying it for yourself, also like self-reflection, and then maybe attributes of like, I don't know, like a YouTube video or something like that, or stories, everything like that. Kind of that culmination of 3 is what I would say is probably going to be the thing that helps you kind of. I'm still kind of comfortable using the word like improve, like better, win. It makes it feel very black and white. So I'm kind of towing a line here, and sorry if these don't seem like fully baked thoughts. I'm a little all over the place, so I'm not delivering like a very like solid end point here, but
we're just exploring this idea
of course,
together.
yeah.
It's not. There's no
yeah,
sweat,
of course,
man.
yeah. But yeah, I think you made a good point, though.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it probably shouldn't be gamified,
Mm-hmm.
but there are, like, you do know like the difference between like did I succeed in making a meaningful connection,
right.
or should I, or maybe not even that, like, but before I didn't create any opportunities for a meaningful connection, and now there were, whether we made one or not,
Mm-hmm.
I did do a better job.
Right.
And I think there's nothing wrong with the word better, like,
Yeah.
because it's not like super gamified.
Yeah, I just want to be careful with it, is all.
Fair enough. I had a thought on the, like, traits thing,
Mm-hmm.
because, so, one of the lessons I learned in high school was honesty is an awful policy. And I do try to be pretty honest, and I often eat dirt for it, because most of the time people only want honesty when you know, it's supposed to be bad for you. Like, no one cares if you're honest if it's good for you. They want the honesty when it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's partly reasonable, partly but I remember very specifically in high school, we had a paper, and we had to do a first draft, and I forgot to do the first draft. And I was like, whatever. And then the teacher said, everyone raise your hand if you did the first draft. So I didn't. He looked at me and said, you didn't do the first draft? And I said, no. He said, okay, minus, I think it was 10 points or 15 points for you, and then everyone else, good job.
Yeah.
And so it's like, cost me nothing to raise my hand.
Yes.
And I thought about that a lot, and then that year, that was my senior year of high school, and I got into what I knew I was going to go to Northeastern probably, because I got in already at that point. And then I was just like, well, I'm just going to spend this year being a scumbag and see what, like...
Yeah.
And it was honestly one of the most entertaining years of my life.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because it's just like, well, if I don't care... Like, if having these virtues is, like, just going to punish me, if I don't have the virtues, I will just not get punished. And that was more or less true. And that was not good for me, but...
Oh, yeah.
It was an entertaining year, and I learned a lot from it. But, like, that was a moment where, like, I tried to be honest, or I was honest, and I was punished for it. And then, in that reflection period, I just decided, well, seems like honesty is a bad trait.
Right.
Because honesty gets punished and does not get rewarded.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things where it's like, yeah, like, how do I act effectively? I mean, that one's like an extreme and obvious answer. It's
of course,
like,
yeah.
Everyone knows that honesty is a good thing, even though maybe people don't practice honesty at a very high level. I mean, honesty is one of those things where it's like, if you lie 1% of the time, you're a goddamn liar.
Of course, yeah.
And so it's tough, because 99% honesty and 100% honesty feel like the same effort.
But they're not even close.
They're not even close,
yeah.
right? If you lie 1% of the time, you're a goddamn liar. Which is tough, because it's also really hard to overcome the image. That 1% of the time I lied to you could have been when we were in college.
Yeah.
And I could have never said another lie ever since then. But to you, I'm always a liar.
Yeah.
Or maybe not always a liar. I mean, we can rebuild.
There's always going to be, like, the doubt of if you come to me and say, hey, I got something for you. And I'll say, I don't know, that one time you kind of hosed me. You kind of led me astray. And, like, yeah, it's like a taint. It's like a mark on the record.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be overcome with a large body of evidence. But a lot of times you don't get that for a lot of people. You can only rebuild that evidence with, like, family, close friends, or whatever, because you see them so frequently.
Yeah.
Or coworkers. You can, like, see your coworkers enough to, like, rebuild the thing. But it's like, so that's one of those things I was thinking about when you're like, yeah, like, was this trait bad in this one setting? Was it bad in this one circumstance? Was it bad, or is it a bad trait?
Right. Well, the thing about honesty is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. That's why it's such a uncommon, I guess.
I think everyone thinks they do it.
Of course, everyone thinks they do it.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm pretty honest. I'm sure I've deceived, my fair share. But no, very similar to you. I've definitely lived a portion of my life saying wait a second, no one is really fact checking me on a lot of this stuff. No one is looking over my shoulder 24/7. I can I don't have to play everything completely straight up. And you're a young guy. I think everyone goes through that at some point or another, in some capacity, I'm going to assume. And yeah, you definitely learn a lot in the sense of, I know the phrase that kind of stuck with me in particular was, how you do some things is how you do a lot of things. The tree falls the way it's leaning. So there's a lot of instances where it'd be, it's like the paper. I'm just gonna raise my hand and I'm not gonna take the score deduction and it'll be fine. I'm an honest person, but just this one thing is, whatever. And now you're at 99%. You are no longer 100%. Clearly there is some compromise in where you are willing to bend the truth. And the next thing is I could lie about, I don't have a bunch of examples off the top of my head, but my point is they can progress little by little.
Yeah.
Slippery slope and all that, which is not a great phrase.
There's an old joke where it's a guy walked up to a woman at the bar and is like, "Would you sleep with me for $100 million?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course." Okay, what about $1? She goes, "Yeah, what kind of woman do you think I am?" It's I thought we already established that. We're just negotiating. Yeah.
I'll have it 2. All right, I'll have it 3. And so clearly there is something that you're willing to compromise on. So it's, on that, as I said, there are definitely very tempting shortcuts in life, in the very the day-to-day, the small, I don't know, not paying your fare on the tea or something small like that, pretty inconsequential. But you are now telling yourself okay, I'm okay with it at this level. Where's the line? Where am I? I'm not going to steal $1 million from the city of Austin, but clearly I am okay in some capacity of kind of not paying my fair share and acting in my own self-interest. And I guess where I'm going with this is, I realized I was really kind of giving myself a lot of excuses for when I would cut corners or play things a little too fast rather than how you're supposed to. And I thought, I do the big things right. I'm not cheating on my taxes. I'm not lying to my friends, and I'm doing the big things right. But when you see what you let yourself get away with, it's concerning. And I don't know, just for me personally, is kind of been a big motivator, kind of zero in to keep myself walking the path that I would like to be walking. That's kind of a dramatic way to put it, but acting in a way I'd like to be acting.
Yeah, I mean, this sentiment that you said about how what you let yourself get away with in the small things, it's actually biblical. Jesus talks about I don't have verses off the top of my head, but it's
fine,
what you do in the little things, you'll do in the greater.
Exactly.
And there's a parable of he gives this rich man gives his servants some money, and then they go and manage it. One of them two of them double it, and one of them just buries the money, and then he comes back and he sees that this guy didn't do anything, and then these guys did stuff, so he gives them well, you guys you had 10 talents or whatever, or 10 gold coins, and you made it 20, so now you're in charge of 20 cities,
right?
Because you were in what you did with what little I gave you, which was a lot, but what little I gave you, now you're responsible. And then so the other guy he kills, the guy who does nothing he kills. And then honestly, maybe I should go get maybe I gotta go look at the thing. But I actually remember reading that and being yo.
Shouldn't have buried the money. You cut corners, kid. You get what you get.
I'm gonna actually gotta look this up.
But yeah, that's
because you know what? Because that story comes up in there's a couple different versions of a similar story, so I'm gonna...
Yeah. No, the sentiment's like relatively similar.
We're not a fact-checked podcast. This is a fake news podcast. It's
Fix
okay.
it in post.
What?
Yeah.
Fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
There's no post. There's no post.
Fix it later.
Benny cursed in the last one. I was like, Benny, this is a curse-free podcast. And then he was just like, oh, you're gonna edit that out? No.
I don't think I've cursed. I might have, but I don't think
I don't think so.
We'll find out later.
I said goddamn.
I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that?
I'm fine with that. Either way, where were we? How you do some is how you do many.
Yeah. What you do in the little things, you do in the greater.
Right.
And I definitely agree with that. And I found that in myself, too. Like, when I had more freedom, like, in general, to, like, just handle my... I had an easier time being a leader because I didn't feel like when you're a leader, you make the choices.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had freedom, I felt like I had an easier time being a leader. When I didn't have freedom, or when I don't have freedom, I don't feel like it's easy to be a leader because like, even if in that setting where I'm a leader, I have all the agency and all the freedom to make the choices. Like if I don't have it in my day-to-day life, then I'm just like, well, like if I'm not allowed to like choose how I spend my money, like in my day-to-day life, then I'm not. How am I supposed to budget a thing or like whatever it is?
Yeah.
Even if I know how to, right?
No.
Or if I've done it before, like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the way this really like comes into play for me is like not even like on a personal like a people level. It's, let's say I make some dinner and I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta clean up like my frying pan and like put everything away and stuff.
You cursed, by the way. This is when you broke the ice.
Darn, I need to clean up my everything I just cooked with. Apologies. But my point is, it's very tempting to say, I'm just gonna leave that and I'll eat my dinner and I'll come back to this like later when I'm done eating or whenever I feel like it. And pretty relatively inconsequential. It's you let the dishes sit in the sink for a while. That's not the end of the world. That's not something you want to be doing, but no one's dying. And I found myself I found that kind of mentality kind of like seeping into like my professional career, my job. There would be like extra measures I should be going, extra lengths I should be going on tasks, and I felt myself being like, it's like this isn't that important. Like I'll kick it down the road and I'll save it for later. And like these things are, truth be told, like very inconsequential, like very very small, minute. But the fact that I was willing to start sacrificing things out, it's not my choice to do it or not do it. It's the job, it should be done. It's not up to me to make like a judgment call on it. But the fact that kind of like same mentality like seeps into the professional, no matter the scale, is concerning. That's, I don't know, the thing that really kind of drives it home for me is the fact that you are given this task. Do the dishes. I'm just going to use that for the sake of argument. And you can either say, like, oh, I'm going to buckle down and do them right now, or you can say, I'm going to kick the can down the road and I'm going to do them later, and it'll be whatever. And something I've been, like, reading into is basically the ability to say, all right, this is something that is difficult, this is something that is not going to be easy, but is going to be better for me in the long run. I'm going to kind of buckle down and do it right now. The word that is used is agency, kind of this control over your life, control over your own emotions, or basically the ability to overcome, uncomfortableness is the word. That is one of the highest correlated traits to success in life. And you can define success however you want, be a billionaire CEO, a great father, working a farm, tending the field, like basically overall satisfaction of life. The highest correlation trait is self-agency, the ability to say, this is something that I want, this is something that's standing in my way, so I am now going to attempt to do it. It's not even a measure of like I'm going to beat this thing, it's just attempting. It's just saying I'm going to try. And I don't know, so it kind of intertwines together. You see, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but do you see where we're going with this?
Yeah.
To a sense.
Yeah. Right, yeah. By having agency in the small things, it lets you have agency in the big things.
Yes.
And then when you deny yourself the agency or you demotivate yourself in small things to get demotivated in the big things. Yeah.
And it's not like a one-to-one. It's not like if you don't do it, you will fail at life, but it's...
You just see it seeping, right? Like
Exactly,
kind of
seeping.
Yeah.
It starts you down, you start walking a direction that's not quite the way you want to be going, and if you let that go unchecked for weeks, months, years, however, you might not look back and say, oh yeah, I definitely lived and acted in accordance with what I wanted, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also interesting, it reminds me of like two things that can't come to mind now. It's like one, where like people are like, oh yeah, like you want to spend like the first 15 minutes a day, like not on your phone, but just like doing some things, like making your bed, make yourself a cup of tea. Maybe some people are like, do a hard thing in the morning, like go for a run, or like take a cold shower, or whatever it is. But like something to get your day started, where you have that kind of like
like the small wins. I think
the small wins kind of thing. The other thing it reminds me of is like the people who talk about identity coming from like the body of evidence that they made. So it's just like, if I want to say I'm a hard worker, well, then let me do the hard working thing. Like,
of course.
Every time that there's an opportunity to be a hard worker, I need to do the hard worker's choice in order for me to like actively identify as a hard worker. Otherwise, I'm like delusional. Or if I'm the kind of person who does hard things, or I'm the kind of person who does tasks on time, I have to actually do those things in order for like that identity to align. And like not that it's explicitly said here, but it's kind of like, well, if I want to be the kind of person who has agency in my life, or the kind of person who, takes life, however it is. I mean, takes life seriously, I guess. I don't know. Or it's not degenerate, basically. Just like it's just like, sorry.
I just frame it as like the kind of person who can, one, recognize that their life is not in a place that they want it to be, which that's the easy part. Is step one, I should say the easy part, but that's just step one, is saying, man, I'm not quite happy right now. Something needs to change. Something in my life is making me unhappy. I need to, so that's step one, saying something's wrong. Step two is saying, okay, it's that, identification. And then it's not very scientific. I don't want to say like step one, step two, step three, like it's a complete guidebook, but in general, you say something's wrong, what's wrong, and then three, okay, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to now change it. That's what the agency is. The step three of saying, okay, this is going to suck. This is going to be painful. I've been drinking too much. I'm going to stop drinking. I've been smoking a bunch of cigarettes. I'm going to stop smoking. I've been overeating. I've been just all these terrible habits are impacting me. I'm now going to stop doing them, and I'm going to miss them, and it's going to suck to not have them, and I will feel worse for a time, but I know in the long run it will move my life to a place that is more enjoyable and better for me. That's like the agency I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that we could sit and draw a connection between those ideas.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I don't think we have to.
No. There's minds greater than ours that do it for much more money.
Yeah, do it for much more money. Are there minds greater than ours? No, I don't know about that.
I've yet to see evidence. I've yet to see evidence.
I mean,
the jury's still out.
I got my glasses on right now.
It's true.
So timing-wise, this is good for me. But is there anything that you feel like you want to say now? Is there any wisdom that you feel like maybe I personally should hear, or you just feel
you personally? Let me tell you.
Yeah, all right.
No.
I could use some healthy criticism. I feel like it's something I don't get.
I think everyone could use a dose of criticism that way. I got nothing for you in particular, in terms of criticism. Let me think in terms of like imparting lessons. Shoot, man, I don't really know. I kind of, like I said, I was brainstorming some like just general topics to talk about. I don't really have a game plan in terms of final takeaways, but I mean, yeah, just to recap, I guess. Get to know yourself, man. It's a lot of people go their whole life without doing it, and they kind of end up in situations where they are just kind of going through motions or being the person that other people want them to be in order to fit in because they're too afraid to be, alone for a time period, or too afraid to be uncomfortable, or too afraid to, do the work. But I don't know. If it never ends well if you just go with the flow and you just kind of lay wherever life puts you down. So even though it's hard, if it's easy, everyone would do it. But you gotta take action. You have to take action. I guess that's if I could summarize it in 5 words. You have to take action.
Thanks. Do you have I don't have a way to end these things yet. If you have a cool way to end them.
Cool.
Oh, fine. If you have a way that you think suits my personality to end them, I'll take the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope everyone listening has, at the very least, enjoyed it. Whether that is through learning something new, or food for thought, or sitting back and laughing at how a couple of goobers we are. Fine by me either way. Just happy you had fun.
And you know the deal. You gotta recommend. You gotta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Send me his number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my buddy at the gym that I met a while ago. I think he's perfect for this. I introduced Mike to him 2 or 3 weeks ago. Hands down, the nicest guy I've ever met in existence, and I do not say that lightly. This guy he's just the most kind and considerate person I've ever come across in my entire life, and I think just about everyone would benefit from listening to him. So I think this would be a great place to have him. I think you'd love talking to him, getting to know him. And, yeah.
All right. Send me his number. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you.